To me, it's a portal. It's a doorway. And that's kind of what I looked at it as. The biggest transition for me that I notice is there's an energy. There is an undeniable energy right before a soul is born into this world and right before they transition and cross over out of the world. I look at it as both are celebratory, whether they're coming into the world, whether they're leaving. There is this sense of vulnerability that you cannot deny. You have to honor it. It's an emotional moment, but it's the same thing for someone that is transitioning, whether you know them or not. Ancestral veneration to me means everything. There is no me without honoring my ancestors. I could not be where I am and I could not be who I am without my ancestors, those that trailblaze the way for me. And to honor them is to continue to love them, but it's also to call reverence to them and to let them know, hey, I recognize and I acknowledge and I feel that you continue to do work on the other side in my honor. So it's to acknowledge that though you are not here physically, I remember you, I honor you, and I'm going to continue to move in your honor on this earth.
Hello, it's Donnabelle, your friend and host of To Hum is Human, a podcast that explores the transformative power of tuning into our intuition to express our passionate purpose. In this episode, the doula's doorway, life, death, and the ancestors who walk with us will explore the parallels between birth and death, the role of ancestors in life's thresholds, and how to live more fully by honoring the transitions that shape us. I'm so honored to introduce my next guest. LèVonta White, also known as LN White, is a birth and death doula, Reiki master teacher, gifted psychic medium, and spiritual entrepreneur, as well as an author. As the founder of Lighthouse Effect, LLC, LèVonta offers intuitive guidance, ancestral veneration, and holistic support for life's most transformative passages. With over 15 years of experience as a licensed practical nurse, she bridges clinical skill with soulful wisdom, creating spaces where both the living and the departing are held with reverence. Her work centers on the experience of Black, Indigenous people of color, uplifts ancestral traditions, and honors the wisdom that walks with us through every chapter of life. Whether she's guiding a soul into the world, walking beside someone at life's end, or helping a client connect with their guides and ancestors, LèVonta's mission is rooted in deep compassion, cultural reverence, and the belief that healing is sacred work. Welcome, LèVonta.
Thank you for having me.
Now, LèVonta, your work sits at such a powerful intersection: birth, death, intuitive guidance, and ancestral veneration. How did your personal journey lead you to become both a birth and death doula?
I feel like that was kind of easy for me in a way, just because my life kind of went in a path where I didn't, at least expected. I didn't expect to necessarily get into nursing, but things aligned, and I guess that's where I was supposed to be. I got into nursing school. I immediately was drawn to death first. I started to notice my niche for holding the hand of one who is transitioning, providing that comfort. That was sort of my high. I enjoyed all the other parts of nursing. I mean, it was cool. Don't get me wrong, the medication part of it and all the different procedures and all and the skills and all that kind of stuff was great. But I started to notice that I was always present for death. And it just kind of became this constant or consistent pattern throughout my 15 years. I decided one day to honor that and to explore that more. I got into it deeply when I became a hospice nurse.
Mm,
Once I became a hospice nurse, it just clicked, and I knew emphatically that that was what I was supposed to be doing. Birth was my initial love. Before I became a nurse, I was infatuated with birth. My mom was going to school. She wanted to be an OB/GYN. And so I was exposed to the medical field a little bit early, but I really, as a kid, I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna be a labor and delivery person. You know what I mean? Like I thought I was gonna work in birth. It didn't work out that way. But once I became a nurse, I started noticing, like, okay, I have this thing for not just death, but birth as well. And it was tied to the spiritual essence of it. It's to me, it's a portal. It's a doorway. And that's kind of
mm,
what I looked at it as. Oh, I can usher in souls as a nurse. But then I discovered that as a nurse, it's challenging to be a nurse and be there for your patient. And I know that sounds weird, right? It was like, wait, you're a nurse. How is it challenging? But as time went on and time passed, as a nurse, they started getting away in the medical field. When I say they, I mean in the medical field. They started to kind of move away from patient centered care, and it became more about billing and authorizations and coding. And you know what I mean? It became more about the economic piece of it.
mm,
And so I wanted to deal with the patient part of it. I wanted to be bedside and hold the hands and offer something to drink and honor their last wishes. So it really grew. My love for life and death kind of grew when I became a nurse.
mm. Interesting. You said it wasn't really exactly what I wanted to be. And so I'm actually curious what you thought you were going to be before you
Well,
were a nurse.
that's a great question. I was actually my whole life, my entire life, I was a dancer. I was an actress. I love to sing. And so through high school, I acted, right? Through senior year, when I went to college, my major was theater. So initially, you could not tell me that I was not going to be the next Angela Bassett or,
Well, you look like a superstar. So I just wanted
oh,
to say that already.
thank
But
you. I received
yeah,
that. I received
yes.
that. I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
But there's something about, I think, when you are in the role of being a role, that you can understand the other person that you are
Mhm.
representing. So through this work that you're doing, it's almost like as if in theater you can place yourself in their position, and what kind of empathy that could bring out of you in whatever
Mhm.
stage of life they're at. That actually is such a
Absolutely.
telling and beautiful part of your story. I'm glad we talked
Absolutely.
about that because,
Yeah.
wow.
Not a lot of people know that about me.
Well, I like to get all the nitty gritty out in this
Yeah. Come on,
podcast.
somebody. You clocking. Come on. That's good, Donnabelle. Come on.
Yes. Well, you've been a licensed practical nurse now for over
Mhm.
15 years.
Yeah.
How has your medical background shaped your spiritual work? And even before that, I'd like to know at what age you started sensing things beyond
Mm,
everyone else's typical awareness.
okay. Well, to answer the latter part of the question first, I started sensing it when I was about 14 years old. And I speak on that in the book, Intuitive Entrepreneur, that I am a co author on as well. But it was about 14 years old, I began to notice that I had developed this sense of sensitivity and empathy or I guess empathic abilities. My cousin died in a house fire. So that was when I began to sense it. Later in life, once I became a nurse, the skills that I gained as a nurse that kind of helps to tap in to the other side of the veil. I think if you pay attention, every nurse can pick up on those skills, right? Especially if you're there for the active transitioning or the 11th hour, as we call it in the medical field. If you're actually there for that, it's something so mystic and magical. I'm gonna be honest with you. For me, it was something that I had to tap into a little extra hard. Like I said, it became difficult to have that bedside manner. You would think as a nurse, you're compassionate, you're loving, you're caring, you're all these things. But when you get caught up in the hustle and bustle of the 12-hour shift and you have sometimes 20 something, 30 patients to your name, it gets tough to kind of sit in the spiritual aspect of nursing.
Mm.
But there's also a side of nursing where when you're around death all the time, you recognize it before it even rears its ugly head. You sense the energy, you know, okay, it's here. And you just start to notice the signs. Nursing also taught me how to notice the physical signs quicker. I can identify, as I like to say, when someone is wearing the spirit of death. When it's on you, I can begin to see it a little bit sooner than the typical person would. It's just there are signs that I'm able to recognize, and it could be because of my intuitive development that I've done, but in most part I can sense the signs of it. And it's not even necessarily the physical aspect of it, but just I can see it. I can see it on someone. I can tell when death is near. It's just something, I don't know, maybe it's the years of working in nursing, but it's just something that I began to develop over time.
Well, and I wonder if you could share possibly some of the signs that you've noticed. I don't know if there's
Mhm,
a continuous pattern that you've seen when working with
mhm.
patients. Is there a sense that they also know that's coming?
Absolutely. I'm so glad you said that. So, of course, there are the physical signs, right? The physiological signs. And depending on where that person is in their stage of transition, those physiological signs can vary, right? It just kind of depends on where they are. But towards the beginning, you'll notice a decrease in appetite. You'll notice some people lose that zest for life. Some people, depending on where they are in the 11th hour or in the transitioning phase, some people will gain a zest for life out of nowhere, like they've been bedridden. They've lost their sense of speech. They can't speak, that, they don't really move. Their breathing pattern has changed. They have labor breathing, but out of nowhere, they'll all of a sudden be up and walking, right? And it's like, wow, like where did this come from? And a lot of times family members will say, like, oh, out of nowhere, they just got better and they're doing great. Well, sometimes that means they're near the end. It could be within the next couple days or the next week, type of a sense. But oftentimes they will also begin to see their loved ones and they will talk about their loved ones. And typically that is, for some people, it's maybe a month or so before. It just kind of depends on how spirit is moving that day, right? But oftentimes it could be within that last couple of weeks. They'll start talking about who they see at their bedside with them. They'll speak in terms of a light. Sometimes there is a light at the end of the tunnel, or they see angels a lot of times, or they will get very anxious. I think anxiety is one of the signs that a lot of people don't touch on. Some people, towards the end of life, when they recognize that they're about to go, they get extremely restless. They get extremely anxious. I think the term is called terminal anxiety. I don't think it's changed much in the last few years, but certainly there are signs.
Well, you often speak of the sacred nature of beginnings and endings. What similarities do you see between ushering a soul into this world and guiding one as they transition beyond this physical plane?
The biggest transition for me that I notice is there's an energy. There is an undeniable energy right before a soul is born into this world and right before they transition and cross over out of the world. There's an energy that it kind of encompasses you. It takes over you. You cannot explain it. And it's crazy because a lot of people don't understand this aspect, but I look at it as both are celebratory, whether they're coming into the world, whether they're leaving out. Some cultures look at birth as celebratory. Some cultures look at it as not as much celebratory, and they value the transition at end of life as celebratory more so than they do the birth, right? Because a soul coming into earth, it's like, it's great, but now you are dealing with worldly things and it's the challenges of life and all of that. But I myself, I truly look at it as celebratory. When you're coming into the world, that's something to be celebrated. And there is this sense of almost like vulnerability that you cannot deny. You
Mm,
have to honor it. It's an emotional moment, but it's the same thing for someone that is transitioning, whether you know them or not. If you are sitting bedside with someone and you just met them, when they cross over, that's something that you can't deny. You're gonna feel that. Now,
mm,
whether you sit in it, you honor it is a different story, right?
right.
But you have to acknowledge that that person, that being does not have a soul anymore. It's the same thing with birth. Now we have this new soul. As a baby, as a child, to me, that is the closest we will ever be to witnessing a soul here on earth. That is the purest,
Mm,
right?
mhm,
As a baby, a newborn, your soul is pure. You still have a lot of abilities that you had in the ethers when you
mm,
come into this world. So to me, they're very similar in that way.
mm. It's such a beautiful experience the way you talk about it, and it's almost like a privilege. It's a real privilege to be part of
Yes.
that
Yes.
becoming and
Exactly.
way of letting go as well
Mhm.
of whatever that life experience was. And how do you support families emotionally and spiritually during those moments when language can't always hold the depth of what's happening?
So, first, you just have to honor and give them the space to feel whatever they're feeling. I think that is first and foremost. This is their truth, this is their experience. You cannot dictate to them what they are feeling, right? You can't tell them how to feel. Most and oftentimes, they don't even know how they're gonna feel.
Mm,
Right. It's just something that is unexpected. And so for me, it is allowing them the room, the space to just feel. And if they want to express how they feel, I allow that. If they
mm,
don't want to express how they feel, I allow that. We will just sit
mm,
in the absence of voice and just be. So for me, emotionally, I have to honor how they feel in that moment. Also, depending on whether it is with birth or death, because they're very different in supporting emotionally, but whether if it's death or transitioning, for me, I'm going to honor depends on who I'm there for too, right? So in the moment, I if they're not transitioned exactly yet, I'm honoring more of the dying, right? The loved one that is passing on. And so emotionally, I'm there in whatever way that they want. So before they go, I ask all these things like, what do you want to wear? What do you want to hold? What would you like to smell in those last hours? Who would you like present? But hopefully, we have completed legacy projects and all these things. We've accomplished everything that they want done before they go. So that makes it somewhat easier in the transitioning phase. So emotionally, hopefully we've taken care of a lot of things
mhm,
previously before it's actually time to go. On the
mm.
birthing side, I'm going to honor whatever they need in that moment, right?
I'm
Just
sure there are
whether
a
it's
lot of needs.
physiological. Yeah, yeah. Whether it's physiological, whether it is emotional, there's a lot of factors that kind of depend on the emotional side of it, of how I'm going to support them. But at the end of the day, not going to be biased. I'm not judgmental, right? It's just honor whatever their wishes are, whatever their
Mm,
feelings are in the moment without inserting my emotions and
mhm,
without inserting my opinions. I think that is the biggest role of a doula in either birth or death.
mm, mm. Now, Levante, you center on Black, Indigenous, people of color experiences and
Correct.
honor ancestral traditions in your work. What
Correct.
does ancestral veneration mean to you, and how does it look like in your own practice?
Ancestral veneration to me means honestly, it means everything. There is no me without honoring my ancestors or venerating my ancestors. I could not be where I am and I could not be who I am without my ancestors, those that trailblaze the way for me. And to honor them is to continue to love them, but it's also to call reverence to them and to let them know, "Hey, I recognize and I acknowledge and I feel that you continue to do work on the other side in my honor." So it's to acknowledge that though you are not here physically, I remember you, I honor you, and I'm going to continue to move in your honor on this earth. It's to say that I have not forgotten you. And I remember and I know that while you were here, you did work for me on my behalf. You helped me, you guided me, you protected me. But you continue that wherever you are now, right? On the other side, that work does not stop. It
Mm.
continues. And there are so many ancestors, known and unknown, right? We could never know all of our ancestors, but we will also never know the sacrifices that they made for us to even walk this earth. And so, because I recognize that I will never fully understand those sacrifices, I have to continue to honor them and keep their legacy and their names alive. So, I do that in my practice by everyday things, right? Everybody honors their ancestors, whether they realize it or not. I don't know if y'all know it or not, but y'all honor your ancestors every single day. Photos, right? Photo albums, continuing grandma's recipe, right? That's a way of honoring your ancestors. And so with me and my family, it's really big to honor certain traditions like Sunday dinner. That's really Black. I mean, really, really Black. It is Black. But that's really big in the African culture and the African American culture is Sunday dinner. And so we oftentimes will honor our ancestors in Sunday dinner by cooking soul food and cooking the foods that our ancestors love the most and have been passed down for centuries. I also like to honor my ancestors by I talk to them every day, right? Just waking up, saying their names and saying, "Hey, I recognize the signs, the synchronicities. I know you're with me. Please keep protecting me. Please keep guiding me and loving me." Sometimes I will go a little bit more in depth with my talk with them, depending on what I'm going through. I honor them with wearing pins. I actually have pins here that I keep on my desk with my grandparents, you know. I just keep them on my desk. But that's just ways that I honor them. I try to weave them into my everyday life, just as I did when they were here, when they were physically present. You can do things like making an altar, all that kind of stuff. And that's like a little bit more in depth.
Mhm.
But just everyday things is what I
Mm.
do in my practice to honor my
Mm.
ancestors.
It's also an acknowledgement that we are really never separate from the
Mm-mm.
web of all there is. And
Exactly.
when we understand that despite the fact they may not be here on the
Mhm.
physical plane, that they're still there in spirit, in guidance and energy and love.
Exactly. And if we listen,
Mhm.
right? If we listen with our heart, not just our ears, but
Mhm.
with our hearts every day, you'll notice the signs that they leave you. They leave little breadcrumbs and signs all the time.
Feathers. Oh my goodness.
Yes, yeah,
Yes.
feathers, butterflies, all kinds of stuff. So,
Well, and for those who feel disconnected from their ancestral lineage, how do you invite them to reclaim or deepen their own connections?
hmm. Well, first off, I would say for them to first recognize that there's a possibility that once our loved ones are no longer here in the earthly realm, that possibly they're still here. It takes a lot. It's asking a lot for someone to recognize that sometimes. Some people just believe once they're gone, they're gone. And that's where a lot of the sorrow comes in. And that's where a lot of the grief comes. If they're not here in the physical, where are they? They're not here. not really understanding or being open to understanding that what if, just what if they are here and we just can't physically see them? So I first invite one to just open up and just say to them or ask themselves, what if they are here? What would I say? What would I do? And
Mm,
then whatever the answer is, say that or
mm,
do that and just go from there. You can kind of build upon that. But I would just say, ask,
mm,
what if they are here? Is there anything that I would want to say? Is there anything that I will want to do to honor them? And then just say that and do
mm,
that. And then from there, you can just kind of build. But to me,
mm.
that would be the foundation.
And you touch upon that in your chapter in the
Mhm.
book, The Intuitive Entrepreneur: Deeper Connections for Soul-Driven Success. You're one of 22 authors who wrote and submitted really powerful stories and tools. And I know we don't want to give it all away, but I think that if readers would get a chance to gain this insight through your chapter, what would one thing be for you to share?
That's a good question. I think the one thing is that I really hate to be cliche, but I think the biggest thing would be don't limit the possibilities.
Mm,
I think that would be the biggest thing, not even just from my chapter in the book. I would say from the entire book. Can you imagine if you ask yourself, what if? I really would like to go back to that. And this is not necessarily for those who are believers, but more so for those who question intuitiveness, intuitive development, those abilities that we all have, by the way. But I just think that if people could stop and look at the possibilities,
mm,
just look at how opening up your heart to the possibility of your intuitive sense, really it's your sixth sense, right? So opening yourself up to that, how that can affect your life,
mm.
how that can change the trajectory of your life and your life's work and your mission, right? Your mission and your vision in life.
I like that. The
you
mission and the
know,
vision. That's your next book,
yeah.
LèVonta.
Yeah. Oh my God. Okay. That's a good idea. Come on, Donnabella. Come on.
Goodness.
Come on. That's
Oh,
a great idea.
I
But I
love that.
just really, I really, and it's for those who, for some reason, feel as though they can't tap into that intuitive sense about them. And it's like, first of all, we all have it. I don't have anything special. You don't have anything different. We all have it. We just chose to develop it, right? We just
It's
chose
true.
to look into it and honor it. And I think the biggest insight that I would pray and hope that one would gain from the book, not just my chapter, but just in general, would be the possibility.
Mhm,
Just what if? What
mhm,
if is something to this? I just developed it even on my own, right?
mhm,
You don't have to spend the money. You don't have to take classes. There are ways for you to develop this on your own and then
mm.
implement that into your everyday life and
Yes.
just watch your life evolve before
Mm.
your eyes.
It really is a work of honoring yourself too,
Mhm.
and really saying, I'm really here to do something big and to believe in
Mhm.
that and to know that
Mhm.
fully.
Mhm. And something small. Even something small. I had to learn, and I learned this within the last few months, but I had to learn sometimes it's not always the big thing that's your purpose, right? It's not changing the lives of the world, right? Sometimes it's walking outside and handing someone I don't know if anybody still reads a newspaper, but it's handing them the paper, or it's offering a hello to someone who looks real grumpy or who looks like they're having a challenging day. Sometimes
Mhm.
it's saving that dying squirrel, right? That's in the street that got hit by a car.
Yes.
Sometimes that is your purpose, and that's okay.
And
So,
that's adds to the ripple within the web. And because it's something small yet coming from a place of goodness in your heart,
It
it
raises the
raises
bar.
the bar. Yes, right.
Raises the
Now,
bar.
through Lighthouse Effect LLC, you've created a space for intuitive guidance and holistic support. What does
Mhm.
Lighthouse Effect mean to you? And how does it show up in the
Ooh.
ways you serve your clients?
Well, for me, it means authenticity. Lighthouse effect means me doing and being exactly who I am supposed to be. It means honoring what I believe I was placed on this earth to be, which is a light worker. I've gained so much knowledge over the years, and my job is to share that and to guide however I can. And that's really, even as a nurse before Lighthouse Effect, that's what I was the most passionate about as a nurse, was gaining all this knowledge and then putting it back into my community, giving it back and helping those, especially in the BIPOC community. Just because of the history of BIPOC and how we are treated in the medical field, the history behind my people and medicine, my goal has always been to learn, retain, and then just give it back. Just
Mm,
give it back and help someone else learn. And so to me, I wouldn't be me if I didn't do that. I would not be me. And so that's what Lighthouse Effect is for me. That's what it means to me. I also feel like Lighthouse Effect is it is like how you say the ripple effect. It is that ripple effect because once someone they experience the essence of lighthouse effect, it will continue to go on. It would touch the next person and the next person. Oh, when I had my baby, I remember my doula told me this. It's paying it forward, in
paying it
my
forward.
opinion. And so if I can shine a light for someone to guide them towards their destiny,
Mm,
I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do
mm.
that.
That's the first thing I thought is like, you're just shining a light in all the shadow parts and all the beautiful parts. But also, too,
Mhm.
something about the lighthouse is the light goes around 360 degrees, like it's the full
Mhm.
circle. And
Exactly.
how amazing that is to
It's for
be
everybody. It's gonna touch
everybody.
everyone at some point, in some way, shape, form, or fashion. It is
Mm,
going to touch someone, and that is my goal. And not just those here on earth, but I'm also shining a light for the souls on the other side to say,
mm,
"Hey, come this way." I can deliver a message if need be. I can help that soul come into the world. I can help this soul go out. Let's go this way. You're safe here. And so it's for both. It's for those here and those on the other side of the veil.
mm. Can you share a moment where spirit communication during a birth or passing brought unexpected healing or clarity?
Okay, well, that's different. That's a little different. And the reason I say that is because sometimes, especially in birth, sometimes it's not the right moment. And you know what I mean?
Yes.
It's funny. You have to be really strategic with that. And I like to tread lightly when it
Mm.
comes to birth. And sometimes I'll see ancestors right when baby is about to be born, but I am not delivering a message. And it's like, I see you, Granny, but at the
Mhm,
same time, I can't. Now, I have had where later, like in the postpartum part of delivery, the birth happens and then
mhm,
it's the hormones and they're bonding and lovey and all that kind of stuff. And this is, you're waiting for the placenta to be birthed and all that kind of stuff. And then some I have had where I had a client and they were in that postpartum phase and their grandmother came through, and I later told her, like, when you guys were just kind of bonding with baby and relaxing, there was a woman there and she said this. But I have to know that you're open to that. I have to know that it's safe to deliver that because I just don't want to step on any toes. I don't want to ruin the moment.
mhm,
So later, when I do the postpartum visit, which is about a month after birth, I'll deliver the message. I've only done that once.
mm,
I've only
mm,
done it once. Now, if they tell me yes, If you feel anything, see anyone, if they want to deliver a message while I'm birthing or
Mhm.
somewhere in there, you can tell me, okay, good. Then I'm coming in guns blazing and I'm telling you everything. No, because I know you welcome it and it's safe,
Yes.
but oftentimes they don't necessarily tell me that. And
Right.
so I tell spirit, hold your horses, baby, not today.
Well,
Not
I
today.
imagine because you're so sensitive to whoever comes in at whatever stage in their life is, from my own experience, I imagine they would like something to say. But you're right, it has to be something that is wanting to be received at that
Exactly,
moment.
exactly. And a lot of times when I see spirit during a birth, most of the time it's before they actually give birth, but they don't really say much.
Mm,
They're just there watching.
mm,
They're just there to witness. So
and
sometimes,
yeah.
most of the time, it's not much to say anyway.
Well,
Yeah.
the birth in itself is enough. Like
Yeah.
that's a big
Exactly.
yes,
Exactly. Yeah.
yes. So working so closely with life's thresholds, it must shape the way you see everyday living. How has it
Oh, yeah.
changed your perspective on what truly matters?
I don't take life as seriously as I used to. I think that is the biggest thing. Like doing this work the past few years has shown me, has proven to me that what we think is a big deal here is not a big deal. And that's with mostly everything. It has shown me that we put too much emphasis on life in general, as far as the zoomed in version of life. And I'm going to say it, the bills, right?
Mhm.
The
Mhm.
job, right? The status of social economic status, the need to be better than someone else,
Mm,
this need to have the best materialistic things. I've learned and I've begun to see life from a bird's eye view. I don't have a choice. I have to look at the bigger picture. And so things that used to bother me and used to get to me and really get me down, not so much anymore. It doesn't happen as much. Sometimes I get in the little human brain and it fogs me sometimes and I have to clear that up. I have to do life from a zoomed out bird's eye view perspective. If I don't think I'd be able to do the work to the level that I do it. And I just can't let life, I can't let life take me where I've been before. I'll say it
mm,
that way. I've
mm,
been in some dark places before and I cannot go there again. I
mm,
just refuse to go there again. And so for me, my work, light work, what I do, I have to do it from a place of flying high. I have to. That's where it's safe for me. Mm. Things don't get to me as much up there. You know what I mean? I can see it from a better scope. I
uh-huh,
can see the world from a bigger picture, and it just works for me.
mm,
It just works, but I can't take life too seriously.
mm. I mean, there's powerful, beautiful words because when you realize that this is just a blip on the timeline, it'll pass. It'll
It
pass. It
will.
may not pass
And
the way you
this is
want
not
it to do. Mhm,
exactly. And I tell
mhm,
people all the time, life is the journey. It's
mm,
not the destination. You're going to continue evolution once you pass on.
mhm,
Once you transition on that other side, it does not stop.
mm,
You continue to evolve on the other side. So to me, this is the journey. And there is so much to be said about the journey,
mhm,
right?
mhm.
And so I can't take it seriously.
Yeah.
I can't. Even though there's some people that want me to in the nursing field, in the medical field, they were big on that. They wanted you, everything was supposed to be serious. You know what I mean? And
Mhm,
it's the money and the insurance and the,
mhm.
the charting and the this and I couldn't. I
Yeah.
couldn't. There's so much
Yeah.
to smile at,
It's
that
so true. It's so true.
yeah.
Now, you've said healing is sacred work. What does that mean to you now? And how has your understanding of it evolved over the years?
Honestly, my understanding has evolved in a way that I've learned that though I see myself as a healer, I'm not the one doing the healing. I hold the space for one to heal themselves. I give them that safety, that security to take the time for them, right? It's not me. And that's the biggest thing that I've learned is, okay, a lot of people look at me like, oh my God, thank you so much. I wouldn't have done this without you. And it's like, you probably could have. You probably would have. But I just opened the door and I showed you this is a space for you to heal yourself. So I just hold that space. It is not these hands. When I was a wound nurse, a lot of my patients would be like, oh my gosh, you healed my wound. Like, thank you so much. And I was just like, I'm not really doing much. But it's taking that time. It's giving you the attention that is needed. It's the talks as I'm changing your bandages. It's supporting you emotionally. It's asking about your family in the midst of me wrapping that wound, right? In the midst of me applying the salve. You know what I mean? Like it's the care. It's holding that space. And so it's not me. This is beyond me. It is higher than me. It is above me. That is what I've come to learn about healing over the years.
How
Yeah.
can people connect with you and the work of Lighthouse Effect?
Oh, girl, you can connect every kind of way, honey. Every which way is possible. So you got your social media for sure. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. Facebook is Ellen White, N White. Instagram is VTHEE, Lighthouse Effect, effect with an E. My website is lighthouseeffectllc.com. And you can find my email on there, but I'm pretty much everywhere. I'm on YouTube. I'm everywhere.
Well, LèVonta White, you remind us that the thresholds of life, the arrivals, and the departures are not separate from living, but
Yeah.
integral to it. I so
Yeah.
appreciate how your work invites us to honor these moments, to listen for the guidance of our ancestors, and to see healing as a sacred act that belongs to all of us. Thank you so
Absolutely.
much for
Thank you
being
so
on
much
this
for
podcast.
having me, Donnabelle. I appreciate it. It was such an honor and it's such a pleasure just to be here with you today with your expertise and what you do. So I'm always elated to have someone to hear my story and just to be in the company of great energy and great souls. So thank you so much. Happy your way through it, people. Remember that no matter what's going on, happy your way through it.
Thanks for being here. I hope something from today's conversation stayed with you or gave you a new way to look at things. That awareness, that pause, that's where things start to shift. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, leave a review, or share it with someone who might need it. You can learn more about my work and what's coming up at sonorouslight.com, and you can follow me on Instagram at @tohumIsHuman. Until next time, keep humming.